not welcome back, but welcome to this new podcast that we have. First and foremost, if you are a natural bodybuilder and you care about is just building muscle with no shortcuts, then this podcast is for you. We've already previously done some seasons, and this is a sort of a reset. So this is NatX podcast exists just because we're really into natural bodybuilding. And I think natural bodybuilding deserves a better reputation. It deserves a better conversation about training, health, long-term progress, and all that stuff. So I'm Adrian, and this is Brandon right here. And welcome to our NatX podcast, where we promote clean and confident and no fluff. Is that right? Like no fluff? Is that what is that what you
No
talked
problem.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like it's all about because there's so much information out there with even natural bodybuilding that there's a lot of bullshit out there. So we're trying to clean it up a little bit with this podcast for sure.
Yeah. And since this podcast is really just for fans, listeners, and even our previous listeners who have followed us, we really appreciate you coming along and listening to us talk about different things. But before we get into today's topic, for those new listeners who haven't heard our voices before, we just wanted to tell you guys who we are and why this podcast was created, and what we actually wanted to preach. So, of course, we do believe, natural bodybuilding deserves its own serious platform. There are many coaches out there. There are many very highly educated influencers out there who also preach the same thing, and we really appreciate on that. With social media right now, they tell you there's long-term progress, but then they also give you quote unquote shortcuts. So we want to clear that up as well. But before we get into that, let's talk about who we are. Do you want to start, Brandon?
Yeah, man, I can start. My name's Brandon. I've been competing for it's been about 12 years now. So I've competed in eight different bodybuilding shows throughout that time span. I've placed anywhere between as low as eighth place to all the way to winning shows, winning my WNBF pro card. I've been coaching for the past 7 years online, and then I was coaching in person for 3 to 4 years. Um, I've had great mentorships like Patty Lifts, if you guys know him from social media. I worked with Team 3DMJ, Jeff Alberts, worked with Anthony with the Peak Week on the last show. So
Oh,
I've had a lot of in terms of mentorships in the space, and I've been like literally obsessed about bodybuilding for the last like 12 years since I did my first show back in 2014. In terms of coaching and like education, I've literally got my bachelor's degree in kinesiology. Um, when I finished high school and stuff like that, I was originally thinking about going into sciences, and then switching to engineering. And I was definitely not the biggest fan of sciences or even going into engineering. So I transitioned into kinesiology, where I was working as a personal trainer while doing that. And then, worked as a kinesiologist for a bit and then slowly transitioned into the online space where I've been, working as an online fitness coach for the past, I guess it's been 7 years now, man. It's crazy. Times flew by.
yeah.
So that's pretty much everything about me. This last actually season, Adrian and I got our WNBF pro cards, which has been super exciting. Um, I've been able to coach some awesome athletes. I've had five guys now get their WNBF pro cards, so it's been a very cool experience taking people to the stage. Definitely something I love to do. But yeah, man, let's maybe get into you, dude.
Oh, I have a very different story than yours. You could see that you have a lot of closer related experience within the fitness space. I started off very, very differently. I had a desk job. I did a desk job. Well, more specifically, I did a design job for 12 years before I actually stepped into the fitness space. I've transitioned from a design job to the personal training job in 2018. So counting now is what? I can't do math. Is it the seventh year now? Seven,
Because, yeah, I think 7 or 8 years.
8 year? Yeah, seven,
Yeah.
8 years. So I'm still a personal trainer up to this date. I've worked with many different type of people from general fitness to rehab to competition prep, as we both are coaches right now. I haven't been in the online fitness space as long as you have, but I'm getting up there. I've started, wait, what was it? I've started my online fitness coaching for at least 4 to 5 years. I don't remember clearly, but yeah, halfway there from where you are. I've managed to work with some quite incredible people, and very, very lucky to have brought some first timers on stage and did some well. Still looking for my first athlete to get their pro card, but right now I'm finding a lot more success and enjoyment in. I don't think I've worked with any bodybuilding athletes, but I've worked with a couple of men's physique and one or two bikinis. Yeah. So those I've found a bit of success there in posings and things like that. So that was it's very 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 exciting just to see. Of course, self-achievement is very very exciting as you've mentioned, but also watching other athletes do a really good job and on stage and making that transformation is very very motivating for me as well. So this is basically what our backstory is and how we met. Do you actually want to tell the audience like how we actually don't know each other. We don't even live in the same city. We're not really that close together, but it's a very funny story.
Yeah, so it was, I think it was 2020, I believe, or it was 2019. I'm pretty sure it's 2020,
Yeah.
pretty much right before the whole COVID thing blew up. We were both prepping for, I believe it was the WMBF Kelowna show. Was it the Kelowna show or the Vancouver show? I think maybe
Vancouver
it was the
show.
Vancouver,
Yeah,
because the Kelowna
Vancouver
show
show.
wasn't a thing yet, right?
Kelowna was
Um,
there, but then it was the Vancouver show first. It's always the Vancouver show first. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were prepping for that. And from what I remember, I think we started DMing each other, just like chatting about the show and like how we're like both pumped. And I I don't think we were talking shit. I think I think we were, unless, yeah. I don't know. It's been so long. But yeah, we just started a conversation from there. And then it just blew up into us like chatting a bit more online. And then all of a sudden, it just like, I think it was you. You're like, hey, you want to start a podcast? And then all of a sudden, from there, yeah, we just started our Lifting Nerds podcast at the time, and yeah, and
I didn't know
then
you had a thing for me.
yeah. Do you?
But
Was there anything I'm missing? I'm trying to think. Yeah.
no, no, that was pretty much it. It was through the WMBF Canada Instagram. I was really pumped for my first WMBF show in Canada. I've done previous shows in Hong Kong in non-tested shows where I did terrible, and then it was my first natural bodybuilding show here. So I was really excited for that. And then I was looking through Instagram, just seeing who I may be up against, and one of the fewer accounts that I thought was I saw your account and yeah, this guy looks somewhat formidable. I'll take a look at him and then noticed that he's competed like a whole bunch of times. He's got like a really good physique, and it's like oh shit. I was like I'm gonna be standing next to him, and that time I didn't know the entire process of what how WNBF works. But then I was like oh shit, he's gonna be like really huge, and then I don't know what triggered that we actually started talking. I don't remember. It's been too long. But then it's through that we started just getting really excited for the show. And then it was COVID came, the Vancouver show got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. That they decided to group the Vancouver show and the Kelowna show down in fall. So the rest of the shows throughout the country was pretty much canceled. So Saskatchewan didn't exist then. It was just Ontario. There was what else was there? There was Ontario. I don't know. I don't
There's
remember the.
Calgary,
There's Calgary, right? Oh,
Edmonton.
Calgary was in. Yeah, it was also in the fall.
Actually, I don't even think Ontario was a thing at that time.
No, no, was it? Was it not?
Because
I
I
don't
feel
remember.
like
Edmonton was the
Ontario,
thing, no?
yeah, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, I think were the three ones that were for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't
Kelowna was
remember.
a thing. I remember Kelowna was a thing. Yeah.
I think that was the first every year that Kelowna was going.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh
If I
shit. Okay.
remember correctly, because I remember like wanting to compete in the WNBF, but it wasn't going to be in Vancouver or in Kelowna, and then all of a sudden, Kirsten and Kyle um, started it up. Like I'm pretty sure it was like that
That
year.
was 2020? Get out of here.
I believe so,
Oh
man. Yeah,
shit. I didn't
I
know
would
it
have
was
to
that
double check.
recent. Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I thought Kelowna existed much much longer.
No, no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been just
Okay.
the 6 years or so. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, moving forward, it got pushed back, and then I ended not we had ended up not competing. And then fast forward to 2020. Did you do anything in 2021?
So I was going to compete again in 2021, and then it got canceled again.
Okay. Oh
So.
wait, 2021 was also the peak of was it 2020 or 2021 was peak of COVID? I don't remember.
I can't remember. I just remember it got like COVID was a thing for about 4 months or 5 months, where like everything was locked down and things were starting to open up, and I was going back to personal training,
Right.
and then yeah, it got locked down again. I think that following like 6 months or something later. And like I remember I was like 10 weeks out, I think, or 8 to 10 weeks out each time. So I
Yeah.
was just in that point where like prep was starting to get very difficult and then it got
Oh,
cut
okay.
off. So yeah. But I just remember being definitely a little frustrated.
Yeah. Did you do any shows in 2022?
No, so 2022, 2022, no, and then 2023, yes. I think, did you do 2022
Yeah,
for
I
the
did
Calgary show? Yeah.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very eager to step on stage, and for those 2 years from 2020 to 2022, 2021, I was really frustrated that it didn't happen. I was gonna get somewhat kind of pissed, and then 2022, I decided to do it. Forgot to. I was working with Brian back then. I worked with Brian from 3DMJ for before he even joined the 3DMJ team. So we talked, and then he did say, he's like, okay, you've been on prep for almost a year in 2020, and if the show's not going to happen, might as well just go into an off season before you start getting even skinnier than you are. So I agree with what he says. So we took a year off, and he tried to extend my show as long as possible. Then 2022 Calgary was uh is the show that I got him to agree. I was like, okay, you can do that one. So the itch was just so big. So I did 2022. I managed to place fourth in the open men's physique show. Very, very lucky. It was a huge class. It was like a class of what, 10, 11 people in just short, and another 10, 11 people in tall. Yeah, so placing fourth was up against quite formidable people. You were there.
Yeah, yeah, I was watching. I think, did I have a client? I think I had one client competing.
And then after that, it was 2023, it was you.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I did the BC Cup in Kelowna, and then I did the Vancouver show, which I kept coming second. It's just, like, it's not quite there, but
Bodybuilding and men's physique, right?
yeah, I also did classic physique for the BC Cup, which I think I came third in the classic physique,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. So you're really close. And then 2024,
Yeah.
that was the year before. And then we
I
both
think,
didn't do anything, right?
no, I think we were both just in an off season, right?
Yeah. So
I think
2024, that's when we spend a lot of the time trying to build the Lifting Nerds podcast. We were just doing a lot of business development, just looking at our physique and looking at things that what we improve on. I mean, for me, it's quite simple, just overall mass. And this was pretty much what every judge was just talking about. So for natural bodybuilding, that's also a thing that is just time. You just need time to build. It's much more advantageous if you're younger and you tend to have build more muscle a little bit easier. But the older you get, they deteriorate faster. So just probably training at a higher intensity is just to sort of quote unquote maintain what you actually had. Your muscles will change over time. They will become denser and a lot more grainier the older you get. It's just the maturity of the muscle. So that's the really beauty of it.
Yeah, like, I would say it's not impossible. Like obviously a younger person hormonally might be in a slightly better position at like what 18, 20 or whatever, and then somebody like late 30s, 40s. There's still potential to grow. Like even you see like Eric Helms still making significant improvements in his 40s, and like Jeff Albert's probably starting to get to that age where it's just trying to hold on to it at like the 50, but people can, even if you are somebody that's like 50 and you're out of shape and you're wanting to get in shape and potentially compete in bodybuilding, you can still gain muscle. You can still get to a position where you can compete. It just, yeah, it might take a little bit longer.
Yeah. So speaking of older age, like Jeff Albertson is like 50s and he's still doing bodybuilding. Now, because they are very, what is that word? Not modern, but upfront. I
Uh,
don't, what word is
like
that?
old
Uh,
school.
say what?
Old school.
Old school? No, yeah, he is sort of old school, but the old school thing, man, the old school thing is like way in the past. Like the 12-week prep program. Is that
Uh,
old or is that not that old?
yeah, that's pretty old in
That's
your
pretty
way.
old. Yeah. So speaking of old, so 12-week prep program, that's a like a very old version of what a typical quote unquote prep would be. Over the course of the years, now it's 2026 right now, what are your views and experience that has evolved over time that you believe what quote unquote
Yes.
old school don't work anymore?
Yeah. So when I first started competing in like 2014, I think I was doing like a meal plan, but I was also tracking a little bit. But I was like literally only eating clean food, like chicken, rice, and vegetables, for pretty much every meal. And like breakfast, I think the only different meal I had was my breakfast was oatmeal, protein powder, and I think some fruit in that. And it was just that rinse and repeat. I think I was doing that for like 2, 3 years.
Shit.
And I don't even know how I did that. But obviously, when it comes to food selection, there's a lot more freedom with it than people think. And I feel like when people first get into bodybuilding, they think they have to be obsessed over just eating clean. Like you can't, if you have pizza, you messed up your diet, you're screwed. It's like, no, like macros can be flexible, calories can be flexible, food options can be flexible when you're prepping. So having more enjoyment with your food throughout a prep can definitely make it much easier. So that would be definitely the number one thing when you do get closer to your show, like if you're like 5 weeks out and hunger is like extremely high, like no matter how much food you consume, like you're not going to feel full. In that case, keeping food a little bit more simplistic and a little bit more bland, I find can be mentally easier. Just because if you're eating super palatable, like if you're having like cookies and stuff in prep, that close to your show, it's going to be a lot harder to not eat the whole bag. Whereas like early on, it's not too bad. So that would be the first thing. And then the second thing would be with training and the amount you're doing. So when I was competing in my first couple of shows, like I was probably training 6 days, maybe even 7 days a week sometimes, because I love the gym and I just wanted to be in there all the time. Um, but it just took up so much time. And like nowadays, with how busy I am, there's no way I can be in the gym 6 to 7 days a week for like 2 hours each session. So I've greatly condensed my training and I made it a lot more like efficient, like so or and effective in terms of the movements. Like I'm training very close to failure. I'm when I'm training a target tissue, like that's the main thing that's failing. That's the main limiting factor for that movement. So just getting better at training really hard. And then if you can do that, that means you don't need to do as much volume. You don't have to be in the gym as long. You don't have to be doing as many sets. So over time, I'm a big believer in like you can condense it a little bit more, especially as you get more efficient with it.
There is
Okay.
one was a very old school idea on during peak week, water manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah. So extreme, yeah, like definitely old school was like extreme cuts to water where you're cutting water like 3 days out or whatever, no water at all. And then, but with the research nowadays, it's just showing that like most of your muscle is made up of water. So if you're cutting all the water, you're just flattening your muscle as well. So to try to get that dry look, you're just gonna end up looking smaller on stage and you won't have quite as much detail because if your muscles aren't as full, they're not going to press up against the skin as much, and you're not going to get that pop and those striations as deep. I do believe there is a point where slightly reducing water towards the end might be beneficial, but nothing like completing like cutting
Yeah.
water all together. Like that never tends to
I
look well.
agree. Okay. So, turning back, I think that's a really good point to leave it. We're from old school stuff, but I want to actually just transition a little bit into the training because you just mentioned about the quality of training is far more important. So, for in terms of quality of training, it's the more you practice, then you just get better at it. Just like any skill in the world. If you have a desk job, the more Excel you use, the just better you get at it. So that's an example. From a natural bodybuilding standpoint, there are body parts where are just harder to build, are a little bit more stubborn to build, and a lot of them I see are upper chest. I struggle the same thing. I don't know if you struggle the same thing. But upper chest is always one of the main factors, a lot, at least for a lot of men. A lot of male athletes that we've worked with have lagging upper chest, at least the majority of them. So, speaking of that, what would you find is an overlooked exercise to build that portion?
So for upper chest, there's a lot of different exercises that can target it. It's mainly just having an arm path that's going to be coming up in this direction a little bit more. Um, so you can do pressing, you can do dumbbell flies. Seems to be like the research may suggest training it more in a lengthened position. So like dumbbell flies can be a effective tool. The upper chest is actually only a pretty small muscle group too. So it tends to not need quite as much load, I would say, as something like so with flying movements, you don't need to be going as crazy. But that being said, I would say for a lot of people, it's not even like the clavicular head of the chest that needs development. It's just like the upper sternal fibers, which can often be done through a lot of pressing with heavier loads. But if you're trying to get that small meat that's just right up here with this arm path, yeah, flies I find can work quite well, and like pressing in general, even like a steeper incline pressing can work quite well too.
Yeah, I agree. So even so, what we're trying to, what I'm also trying to bring out is besides the small land of your quote unquote upper chest, which is just half your clavicular, the other half of your clavicular is basically part of your anterior delts. Now, I'm not saying you should be just doing front raises all the time. There's a lot of pressing movements is just a shoulder flexion movement, and it covers a lot of that anterior delt movement. Now, doing those isolations is actually helpful, and also what you actually said, but they can't see is the sort of an angled from low to high fly that will actually take part not only in that small portion of the upper chest, but also the entire anterior delt as well. So that is also something it's I know it's always looked upon, but it's always difficult to build. But in your opinion, are there any body parts that you think is overlooked that deserves a little bit more attention that it's talking about right now?
Lower lats for some people, for sure, definitely tend to get a little bit underdeveloped. Um, Calves are one that
Calves.
I feel like, especially people that start their journey quite skinny, they're often a body part that can be quite frustrating, though they will build over time. It does seem to be quite it doesn't seem to build quite as fast as other body parts.
Right.
Um, but yeah, those are the main ones. Like delts, like with delts, especially like the lateral head of your delt, you can almost never have too big of lateral
Yes.
delts when it comes to like bodybuilding, because the bigger they are, the more kind of X frame, the Dorito frame for like men's physique you're gonna get. So yeah, I would say those are probably like the main ones that commonly get overlooked.
I agree. Yeah. Calves, rear delts, I also feel they're a little bit overlooked. People just like to work on the width of their body. So they just hammering the lateral raises just to get a medial. That's just to get us that ball-like delts. But then yeah, I just feel like rear delts they usually get overlooked. Like to be fair. if you're doing rows in a lot of your programs, they are getting worked, and if you do pullovers, they also get worked. But yeah, I just think that it's a those quote unquote accessories that is like, "Ah, I'm too tired for this. I'm just gonna skip it," that kind of thing. So I think that also goes with your calves as well. When
Yeah.
people say, "Ah, it's the end of the workout," it's like, "Oh, my legs are so fried," and
Yeah.
it's just the calves, and then there's no machine. It's like, "Fuck it. I'm not gonna do this."
Yeah, I feel like it depends on the individual too. If you naturally just have really big rear delts from doing a lot of rowing, then yeah, you could get away with not doing it. But yeah, if you're somebody like specifically men's physique too, with trying to get like a really nice back pose, having that nice rear delt pop will definitely go a long ways.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're actually trying to say here from all that training and all that stuff is we're not trying to preach a lot of different isolate, like the quote unquote old school golden era bodybuilding where there's a lot of junk volume. Okay, but yes, training to failure and the quality of the training is definitely much needed. I think also in the golden era, it's also kind of coming back a little bit. So the Arnold or even that golden era is actually coming back, and people are trying to follow that intensity, which I agree with, but the intensity and the amount of volume is kind of two different things. So what I've experimented with is from the past year since, well, post show from June when I got into my off season, I've tried doing my actual program is just I followed what Alberto Nunez program.
Yeah.
He only does two working sets. However, he does maybe one or two more sort of quote unquote warm up sets before. So yeah, it sort of adds up to be like three to four sets.
Yeah.
But the actual good quality working sets is only two. Now, I've experimented with it and I feel tremendously sore from just those two working sets. So we're working with not only the tempo of the reps, but the load of them, as you've mentioned, just heavy enough weight. So you can actually manage a lot more weight than you think you can. Even in like prep when your joints are maybe not as stable as before, change it to a machine. I don't know. But then you're able to actually hold a lot more weight, and your muscles will actually work at the same thing, same amount of performance as you were. So just keeping that intensity like really, really high. Yeah, I know it's fatiguing, but eh,
Yeah.
what do you want? How far are you willing to go to actually do bodybuilding, right?
Quick shout out to our sponsor, True North Sportswear, local gym gear that's high quality, comfortable, and built to last. Use code Team Emsley to save 15% off your next order.
100%, man. I feel like to bring back to the volume thing too, like when I work with athletes, like it's all about their individuality too. Like there's some people I work with that literally need higher volume to see significant progress, but then there's some people that just it doesn't work well with them with the higher volume because they can't keep the intensity up there. So like it's gonna depend on somebody's like temperament and all that kind of stuff, and like how much time they have, the way they're training. Some people that are a little bit more new to the gym can sometimes benefit from slightly higher volume because they don't know how to quite push to those extreme levels of intensity to get real to true failure and know what that feels like. I do believe as you get more advanced with training, that your ability to push harder just continues to go up. What you thought was failure before is now like something even more intense, or like you're able to push past areas where you have been in the past. You can mentally lock in better and keep the target tissue to the fire, kind of thing. So I do believe as you, yeah, train for longer, your ability to push just continues to go higher and higher and higher. Which oftentimes when you're pushing harder and harder and harder, you need to adjust volume to make up for that. If you're kind of trying to push volume up while you're pushing intensity that high, it's you just run into stuff. I even like to I even experimented with like some extreme high volume about 2 or 3 months ago. I just wanted to see how my personal body would react to doing like 20 to like 25 sets per muscle group per week, to see how how it functioned. Um, but when I did that, like I slowly transitioned up to it, I was noticing that I wasn't mentally pushing quite as hard. Like It almost felt like I was just kind of going through the motions with the training. The results I got from it, I was still making pretty decent results. Like I was still seeing more fullness in my physique. I was still gaining muscle during that time. But I'm like, man, I'm spending more time in the gym. I'm feeling more beat up. I'm feeling less motivated to continue training. So I feel like there's amount of volume that's going to be that sweet spot for somebody that they can keep going with it for a long period of time. Because like for me personally, if I'm doing 25 sets per body prep per week for straight for a long period of time, like I was feeling my motivation to train drop more and more. It could be a little bit too to like fatigue build up and needing maybe a deload. But I was just there wasn't as much love for like getting in there. Whereas if you're only getting there to do a certain amount of work and a certain amount of days, usually you're a lot more intentional and like you push really hard. And it's I for myself, it's very fun doing it that way. Everybody's gonna have their own individual preferences.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you the same way. From the coaches I've worked with before that has prescribed me with higher volumes. I've tried higher volumes for myself, lower volumes, higher intensity, which I've just experimented with. I find it could be potentially because we've been doing this a lot longer. So experience it builds up. We have a much more clear intention of what we wanted to achieve every single training session. I used to like staying at the gym for 2 hours and probably spending at least 30 minutes just chilling, just like talking to people next to you and stuff like that. But now it's for me, it's just get in, do the work, and hoping I could finish it within 45 minutes or like half an hour, and then just get out. So my day is just more focused on efficiency. If that includes training. I'm not rushing through the training. So if I do need like especially lower body days, if the set requires about 2 to 3 minute rest just to peak your performance and get good quality reps out of it, then so be it. It's for me, if it's a low volume, high intensity, it's only 2 sets. So one set could probably take you what? I don't know, like 15, 20 seconds just to complete one set. You take 2 3 minute breaks. It sounds like a power lifter in some ways. And then you do another 15 to 20 seconds of the other set, and then you're done for that one exercises. And you probably, I don't know, I have like what, 5, 6 exercises per body part in one training session. So yeah, you do the math, which I can't, 30, 40 minutes, and then you're done. So that will come with experience. So if you're newer to lifting, what I would recommend is, of course, we have to manage your schedule. Now, you've got your work schedule, you have a life, you have other stuff that's going on, and going to the gym is only a small portion about it. We have to work with what you have and what your capability is. If you can't afford 60 minutes in the gym of training, we have to work around what we can. So that could depend on frequency. That could depend on what was the other one? Volume? What kind of volume?
Yeah,
Frequency
frequency,
and what
volume,
else?
intensity. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it really will depend on that.
it's going to be very individual to the client, right? So based off of even like fatigue levels too, if somebody's working like a very laborious job
Oh
and then they
yeah,
have to
there you go.
do
Yeah.
training,
Fatigue,
like you're
yeah.
not going to be giving them a shit ton of volume because they're not going to be able to physically recover from that. So giving them an amount of something that's going to be very stimulus or have a high degree of stimulus, but it's not going to have the same fatigue costs in the program. So working around the person, like I've had people literally train 3 days a week still make great progress in the off season. It's not like, and I feel like that's the thing with like natural bodybuilding is a lot of people think it's like, okay, I have to make sure I'm training like 6 days a week, 2 hours, or even like thinking they have to train every single day for like 2 hours to get in the best shape of their life for the bodybuilding stage when that is just not necessary. Like for me with my last prep, I'm pretty sure your last prep yourself, like I was only training 4 days per week. Were you training more than 4 days a week, or you?
Yeah, 4 days.
Okay, yeah. So we were literally training 4 days per week. I think my sessions were about maybe an hour, and we both got our pro cards training that way. But
Yeah.
we were making sure to manage things like stress, sleep, and nutrition outside of that. But it's like you don't need as much as you often think you do.
Yeah. That also brings us to another topic that I wanted to just quickly touch base on is for individuals who have just going back to high labor jobs. So jobs like a construction worker, retail, where you're always on your feet, like personal trainers like us, where we're on our feet most of the time. And I think to be fair, retail workers, construction workers, you are doing physical labor, but you're not really lifting heavy stuff like in the gym. Now, I've had an athlete who was a retail worker. Now yeah, she's basically at work 6 days a week. She's at work. And it really we had to work around on her shift. So we communicated clearly on how her shift works and see if we can fit either a cardio session or a training sessions in. Now she will let me know, was like, okay, I can't, the gym closes at, I don't know, like 10 or something, and she gets off at what, 8, 8:30 if it goes with retail. And then she just doesn't have enough time to go to the gym. So we work around that. So what I was trying to say is, even though you have a physical labor job and maybe time is not on your hand, as you said, you don't have to go every day. Yeah. You can always manage, go before work, go after work, or go in between. Yeah. There's always a way. And she still made it to the stage, did wonderful. I'm really, really proud of her. And yeah, so there's just not really an excuse that you can say that it could get you out of not going there.
Yeah, I even have a lot of guys I work with that have shift work too, where they're like 2 days day, 2 days night, and like their sleep schedule's getting messed up, but they're still able to make it work. And it's just, yeah, it's just planning, incorporating in. For most people, like a lot of times, just having accountability too. Like some people know if somebody's watching them that they okay, I got to get this done. Whereas if you don't have anybody there, a lot of times people can start thinking of those excuses in their head and like accepting them. Whereas if somebody's there actually chatting with them, they can be like, hey, like, I understand it's difficult, but we can, like, you can do this. Like, it's not physically impossible. It's accountability aspect is always important too. Like, I know even for me with my preps, like, there's been preps I've gone through where it's like in my mind, I'm like, I don't really want to do this, or but just having somebody literally there be like, hey man, like you got this, dude. Like, okay, let's make this, like you can't do that. So let's make this small adjustment to make sure that you can still get it in, right? If that's making training session a little bit shorter, if you literally don't have access to a gym, like doing a small body weight workout from home or something like that, or getting some extra steps in, or shifting some things around, like it doesn't have to be perfectly set in place, right?
It would be good, but yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
good. But you are prepping for a show at the end of the day. And from
Yes.
our coach's perspective is we wanted to maximize communication. Don't feel like we're not that scary, are we? Right. We don't look that scary, but I guess there is a line between, your homie and then there's your coach. Now, in a coach's perspective, I think it's even more important you actually stay as honest as possible. If you missed it, you missed it. We're not going to really shit on you the same way like we shit on you like as a parent, but we want to hold you accountable for the things that I understand that you may, when you tell us that you've missed such and such, it might feel scary because you think, like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And then, yeah, we'll probably look past it and just see, okay, you fucked it up already. Let's see how we can make it up.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this part is I would want to create a coach and an athlete relationship, but not to an extent where it's speaking to us is really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fine balance between just accepting people for like not taking action on stuff and then being like so like getting like angry at your client. Like there's a happy medium in there where it's about okay, like something went wrong. Let's see like what happened. Like what could you have done to ensure that you can still get this training session or ensure that you can still hit your macros. It's not that like we're gonna be like guilt you and be like, oh, you're such a bad person because you didn't do that. Like that's not the case with coaching. We never guilt people. It's more about okay, like we did this. Okay, let's
Maybe
move
in a
forward.
joking way, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, in a joking way, hundred
In a
percent.
joking way, yes.
Yeah, but it's not like, and that, I feel like, especially with competition prep, like I've had athletes before where they messed up, or they binged or whatever, and it took them like a week to confess to it. So like
Oh
it's
my God.
so like, and that's the thing, because like that's why I always encourage like full transparency. Like I've had preps where I've literally binged out and stuff like that. So like I always, for with athletes, try to have this communication where it's like, if you've done something wrong, like I've probably done that before. So I'm not going to judge you for doing that. It's just okay. We're going to figure out how to not do that again, right? So
Yeah.
I find that that helps a lot.
Yeah. So also another message is just besides because we have competed many times and we have seen many people prep. We have friends that prep. We've heard stories on how they may have not fucked up. But so what we want to say is we've seen it pretty much all. So we won't be surprised to hear any news stories. We're encouraged to like hear them, but not asking you, not encouraging you to mess things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not that. That's not the message. The message is like don't be afraid to come out and just tell us right off the bat. So we can work together and fix the problem before it gets even worse. That's the main idea of what that whole rant was really about. I think we did made a pretty good job on just letting the audience know throughout the years, after pro cards, after years of training, after years of trying, who have we become right now and how we could understand our audience and how we understand our athletes much, much better. That also comes with age. It might not look like it, but I'm really young and Brandon's just like a freaking dinosaur now. So it might not look like it, but that's yeah, so that also comes with experience over the years. What I actually want our listeners to also hear is you could probably tell us what can we expect moving forward from our content in the near future?
Yeah, so we're gonna be definitely posting on our NatX account on Instagram. We're gonna be posting up some clips of these YouTube clips from the YouTube as reels on there, client testimonials, transformations, and stuff like that. And if you guys have any ideas or want to learn a specific topic when it comes to bodybuilding, when it comes to maybe peaking, or when it comes to what a bodybuilding prep would look like for you, like let us know. We do offer consults and stuff like that in our bios if you're wanting to have a chat with us and see just what if you even if you have a little bit of interest in bodybuilding and just want to know what it's about, we can offer you a consult there. We'll probably be on Spotify and some other platforms too with the podcast too, right?
Yeah, so we'll be on Apple Podcasts, we'll be on Spotify, we'll be on, I think we're on YouTube Music and a couple, I think we're on iHeartRadio too. Yeah, so we're on a couple of podcasts, as many podcasts as platforms as we can, so you can reach out to us. Of course, our main source, if you want to leave comments or anything like that, our main source would definitely be I personally prefer YouTube, but I would look through all the if I get a text or if I get a message, I'll definitely look through the comment section. But that is the way to reach us. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Just with like competing, I think I always talk about this because I feel like a lot of people just need to know, like, if you're wanting to compete, like you just need a lot of time to like if you're wanting to say do a show in the spring, like it's probably too late to be starting prep now. Like at the earliest show, if you were trying to start like a prep right now, would probably be the fall. So if you're thinking about competing in the fall, like now is the time to reach out. If you're thinking about competing next year, right now is probably a really good time to start out so we can actually build your off season and see if we can bring up some weak body parts and everything like that. Because I feel like that's like the biggest thing when most people come to like me, I'm sure to you, is just they're not in the best place to sometimes even start prep, or their body fat's a little bit too high, and like it's we always have I find I always have to be like, hey, sorry, like this show's not going to work, we're gonna have to push it later. So the earlier you can reach out, the better we're going to be able to honestly help you out. So yeah, if you guys are thinking about it, I would definitely recommend doing it sooner than later.
I agree. And that's also one of the things we also talked about in the beginning. We preach longer term progressions than short term shortcuts. So that's just how it is for natural bodybuilding. Just repeating myself again is if you're in general fitness, then some shortcuts will vary depending on people. That might work. But if we're talking about a prep for a natural bodybuilding show, time is going to be your best friend.
The more time you have, generally, the leaner you're going to get, the more muscle you're going to preserve. So the better look you're going to get. So
Exactly. Okay. If that's it, then we're going to wrap up this episode, our first episode. Thank you guys for joining us. And do remember, if we are on all these platforms, so please do follow and share and stay for the journey. So thank you guys again. We'll see you guys
okay.
soon.